Today is Sunday, and today we are going to read the next part of our Urtext, a Course in Miracles Urtext version from the yellow book, from where we stopped last time. Today I'm actually recording from my mobile phone. The quality seems to be definitely much better. So this is definitely going to be the future way we are going to do this. And yeah, what have I been up to? The last time I think I recorded Thursday last week. And in the meantime, since I'm doing all those Qigong, getting all those Qigong courses ready for my Spanish pupils, many of them have asked me, so how many levels do you have and of the Qigong, and how are you teaching this? And in that last week, I think in the last 10 days, it has emerged to me that I'm going to have I'm having three levels of Qigong. I just can see it now. And at the last level, which is going to be really a 3-year process, and the last level is going to be kind of a spiritual Qigong. And in Qigong, it works like this. You start, I'm a Course in Miracles student since 2008, and I can't help myself but include the Course in Miracles in whatever I'm teaching, and no matter what I'm teaching. You can see here that I've also a Monroe Institute facilitator. This is the posters I use from the Monroe Institute, and you can see here all my different Qigong posters and my Chinese medicine books and meridians and Reiki. I'm also a Reiki master from the 2 different lines, one from the direct Japanese line and the other one over Hawaii Takata, the Hawaiian line. So I've been very much working with the different kind of energies. But when I first got to learn about Qigong in 2011, and by that time I've already been studying the Course in Miracles for three years, I instantly knew that this is something I need to teach. But all other kinds of things had to happen first before I could come to this level. And yeah, last year, as you know, I recorded Qigong classes for every single one of the Course in Miracles lessons, for the 365 lessons. And while I was doing it, it was like a speed learning. I learned deeply what the Course in Miracles was teaching, which I maybe had overlooked before. And it did some profound cleansing as well within myself. And then I also suddenly understood what the Qigong was trying to teach in relation to the Course in Miracles, which was very, very interesting. And as it then emerged in Qigong, like I said, like I began to say that, what we're doing in Qigong, you have got like 3 different lines, 3 different big areas, you could say. On one hand, you could say that Qigong belongs to Chinese medicine. You could say that this is part of the Chinese medicine. So then you've got, in the Chinese medicine, you've got the acupuncture, acupressure, massage, you've got herbalism, you've got cupping, you've got all different kind of directions, and Qigong plays a very important part in the Chinese medicine. In Qigong, you're basically working with the meridians. So this is also what I have here. This is fine in Spanish, but anyway, you can just have a look at it. This is the 5 elements. And the 5 elements got very much to do with the meridians, with the purification. It's got very much to do with the body. But you could also say the other way around, that the Chinese medicine is one area of Qigong. Qigong means the movement of the life force energy. So what does life force energy means? Life force energy is that which gives life to anything which is alive. So that could be an animal, it could be a plant, but it's also air, or it's also the universe. It is everything where there is life, which is imbued in life. And as much as we know about science, we do not know how to imbue something with life. We are trying to do that now with AI, but it's not what life is. What is the difference between something which is inanimate, which is like, this is not alive, or this plant behind me, these are plastic plants. They look nice to the eye, but they're not alive. They don't grow. They don't have the spark of life within them. What is different, and also when you have a live plant, which I actually don't have a live plant right here, right now, but I have got a live body. I've got a Pixie, come. This is a live animal. Come here. Come. So this is an animal which there is life in it. It's not something which we humans, which we think we are so incredibly powerful. It's not us who have given life to this animal. No, it's the union of the mother and father, of the male and the female of this dog, which created the life. So Qi is this life force energy, which makes the difference between a body which is alive and which is dead. So in the Qigong is anything to do with this life force energy. So you could say that medical Qigong or the Chinese medicine is like one branch of that Qigong. Then you could say that martial arts like Kung Fu or Tai Chi, it's a martial art form, or Wushu, or for example the Kung Fu style Shaolin. This is the martial art branch, you know. So they're using the Qi, the life force energy, to strengthen the body. And then you also got the spiritual Qigong. The spiritual Qigong is the one which is converting the Jing, which is the life force energy in the body, into Qi, into like a finer energy, and then transforming it into Shen, which in Chinese means mind and it means spirit. This word means both things. So you are transforming Jing to Qi to Shen. And as I was doing the Course in Miracles and Qigong last year, and creating all those courses for my Spanish students, I realized that my course is also got 3 levels. The first level is just to understand the basics and to understand the body, to understand how these elements apply to the body and how do those 3 dantians apply to the body. Then the second part is where we are going to go deeper, understanding how the thoughts are manifesting themselves in the body as emotions. And if those thoughts are negative, which we are learning as a Course in Miracles students, they actually can manifest themselves as blockages and stagnation, or even as a deficiency in the body. So if you have got a blockage or a stagnation or an excess of Qi, you want to purify it. And if you have got a stagnation, you want to, if you have a deficiency, then you want to tonify the Qi. And as a Qigong teacher, you basically learn how to do those different stages which you want. But then the next process, which is the most interesting for me, is that conversion into the Shen, into the spiritual. And as a Course in Miracles students, we start from the top. We actually start at the Shen and then forget that we need to sink down into the body to let the wisdom rise. And one of the things which I have told you several times during last year is one of the things which I found most in the very beginning when I started studying the Course in Miracles, when I realized that I couldn't save myself, just myself, or myself and my family. When I realized this was not an option. If I wanted to save myself, every single human had to wake up, because really every other human in this world is a different aspect of the self, which I truly am, which you truly are. And for me to help this process, I gotta see it. I gotta see that myself in any other person. So whatever I am doing, I am working towards that, or I'm trying to work, or I'm asking for help from my higher self, from my Holy Spirit, from Christ, whatever, from God, to help me see it. Because when I can see it, I kind of influence my mind. I'm influencing the way I think, I see things, but somehow I also influence the state, the consciousness of the collective consciousness when I see things others a different way. So this is that transforming the Jing to Qi to Shen. And like I said, I think as Course in Miracles students, we started at the top and now we have to sink back again. It's like this microcosmic orbit. You're sinking down and then you have to raise it again. And I think that there are different aspects of us, different people and different time periods. We got different gifts gifted onto this earth, onto this planet. And now we need to kind of unite them. So the Course in Miracles students, we have been studying the mind. We've been undoing the mind. Now we need to sink this knowledge back into that physical realm, which the body is like a synonym for. We need to sink it back in and then let the wisdom and that inner peace rise again, which is going, according to Chinese medicine, is going up the spine, basically up the dumai, which is the meridian between the spine and the skin. So there is this channel which is thrusting the life force energy, the qi, up again into the mind. And I thought it was very, very fascinating when the way they are describing this. And in the Course in Miracles, while I was reading this last year together with you and while we were doing Qigong classes, there were so many different areas where the Course was saying you have got to sink deep in. You've got to sink deep within yourself. You got to claim that space. You got to claim that space and you got to understand that you are the light of the world. You kind of have to bring this into your awareness. And me as a Course in Miracles student at the beginning, I wanted to escape from it all. I wanted to escape from the body, from the life, from all those problems. And it took me a while to understand that you cannot escape it. You cannot. You got to kind of sink deep within to find the way out. And so again, those 3 levels which I'm teaching, the 3rd level is going to be exactly that what we learned through the Course in Miracles. We're going to learn that in the 3rd level of the Qigong, the Qigong mastership, which I'm teaching, where we're going to learn that. We're going to raise this up. So we are starting, according to Chinese medicine, you got to start at the lower dantian. You got to understand your body first. Then you have got to understand the emotions, and this is exactly what happened to me. I first started with the mental. That didn't, well, actually it was the other way around for me. I started with the mental, which was the Course in Miracles. Then I had the emotional learning, and that was extremely painful. And then I learned the physical learning with Qigong. So I did it the other way around, which is typical me. I always have to do it the difficult way. And only after I understood the body did all the other stuff actually make sense. And that is why I have made it my mission to bring the Qigong into the Course in Miracles and to bring the Course in Miracles into the Qigong. Whether I'm going to succeed or not, that is irrelevant, really. All I want to do is just basically bring it closer, bring this in as an option and see if anybody can relate to this and if it can help anybody. Okay, so part of this whole endeavor is to read the Urtext. The Urtext version is the Urtext manuscript is the original version which Helen Schuckmann received, and there's about 50,000 words which have been removed from this, from the Blue Foundation for Inner Peace version. I just have to go and switch this phone off. And I just have to put this on silent. And we just really wanna, I find it also very, very fascinating to read this original process, to read this, how how she was receiving this, and it was not 100% clear in the beginning. It was a bit confusing for her, so she had to kind of get to understand how she had to kind of understand how this was, how this worked, this process, and trust her own voice, or the voice she was receiving, trusting herself that she was getting it right. And when we are reading this Course in Miracles Urtext manuscript here, which is the original scriptures which she was receiving, we can walk along with her. And while we are walking along, for me personally, it gives me clarification. As much as it was giving clarification to her, it was a clarification for me as well. And I think the Course in Miracles is that clarification we need. Jesus Christ, the historical Jesus, he was the first one to kind of understand that we are all one, and that there is no death as such. And from this historical figure to now, 2,000 years have passed. And for me, the Course in Miracles is like a clarification of terms. It's like clarifying of that which has been transmitted to us through history, through 2,000 years, and now we need to clarify it again. We need a clarification to figure out what was actually meant here. Okay, so let's start reading where we left off last week. Last week we stopped at Principle Miracle 24. And the last thing was saying, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So we got to decide how we are going to think in our heart. And there's actually a new headline here for this particular section, which is starting again on the Miracle 24, 24E, and it goes like this. The relationship of miracles and revelations. This is in the notes, text 5, 102. So here it says, text 1, B24E. This is the 24th miracle principle. And it goes like this. Remember the point about miracles as a means of organizing different levels of consciousness. And we've been talking about the level confusion already last time we were reading this together. Miracles come from the below conscious or subconscious level. There is 2 brackets here. I love this. All right, listen to this again. Remember the point about miracle as a means of organizing different levels of consciousness. Miracles come from the below conscious or subconscious level. So if you observe your body, where is the subconscious level? Where is it? It's because I always say, if we ignore the body, if we ignore it, then it's very difficult to place those different things into the right place. So where would this be in context of Qigong? This would be in the lower dantian, in the subconscious. It would be in that what we call the second or third brain nowadays, where the wisdom is, in the third dantian. So it says here, miracles come from the below conscious. Where is the conscious? The conscious is in our mind up here, and we forget that we need to sink below to get the real miracle level. Revelation comes from the above conscious level. Where is the above conscious level? Well, that is what is above that thing which we believe to be consciousness. It could almost say it is outside of this physical perception. And if you remember the central channel and the energetic field which we have around us, I would almost argue that the superconscious level is outside of our energetic field, which is the influence of the divine, of the Holy Spirit, whereby the subconscious level is that wisdom which is in the center of our body and which we have also neglected. So we are neglecting the superconscious, the intelligence, the high intelligence, the divine, and we are neglecting the subconscious, the love, the thing what we truly are. And we are just focusing on the conscious level, we're just focusing on the mind. And this is the domain of the ego. Revelations come from the above conscious level. The conscious level is in between and reacts to either the sub or superconscious impulses in varying ratios. Freud was right about the classification. Freud was right about the classification of the mind, but not the names. He was not right about the names. He was also right that the content of consciousness is fleeting. That means that what we have in our conscious mind is fleeting constantly. We are bouncing up and down. We are like one of those tennis balls or like one of those flipper balls. Our mind is constantly going beep, 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 constantly. It never stops. So let's read this again. Revelations come from the above conscious level, from outside of our energy field. The conscious level is in between and it reacts either to the sub or superconscious impulses. So the conscious level is this, what is happening in the upper dantian, in the mind here. In Qigong, you say the longest path is the path between the mind and the heart, because it's so incredibly difficult for us to sink down into our heart. And he goes on to say, the conscious level is in between and reacts to either the sub or superconscious impulses in varying ratios. Freud, I think it's absolutely amazing here. Freud was right about the classification, but not the names. He was also right that the content of the consciousness is fleeting. Consciousness is the level which engages in the world and is capable of responding to both external and internal impulses. Having no impulses from itself and being primarily a mechanism for inducing response, it can be very wrong. Let me read that again to you. Consciousness is the level which engages in the world. Our consciousness, our mind, this what we are interacting together, you and me, right now. This is our conscious level. Consciousness is the level which engages in the world and is capable of responding to both external and internal impulses. So what are external impulses? External impulses are the things which we are perceiving with our senses, and internal impulses are that what is happening within our inner world. In Qigong, we are constantly sinking down and trying to identify and understand this inner world, and not simply being reacting only to the external world, but understanding that our internal world can also be wrong. That it's not just the things which are happening inside that they're always 100% right. They can also be wrong. Consciousness is the level which engages in the world and is capable of responding to both external and internal impulses. Having no impulses from itself and being primarily a mechanism for inducing response, it can be very wrong. So we are responding to this which is happening from the outside. Then it goes to the next. I'm just checking if there's any kind of footnote. And there is not one single footnote. I find that most interesting. Interesting. So then it goes to Miracle Principle 24F. For example, if the identification is with the body, consciousness may distort superconscious impulses by denying their source, seeking their impact in the orgasm. This is the result of the mistaken identity confusion. Let me read this again to you. For example, if the identification is with the body, consciousness may distort superconscious impulses, things which are coming from the superconscious, which are coming from the divine, by denying their source. might deny the source of the divine and seeking their impact in the orgasm, in the physical orgasm. This is the result of the mistaken identity. It's very interesting. Let's go on to the next. 24G. If you will look back at the description of the effects of revelation, you will see that there are some similarities in the experiential results, but hardly in the content. Now here there is 2 footnotes, 37 and 38. 37 says, originally written in the notes, superficial similarities, the word superficial is crossed out. So it said superficial similarities, but then it actually crossed the similarities. What did it cross out? Superficially crossed it out. Interesting. And then it goes on to say, footnote 38 at content, the bold characters are not in the Urtext, but are in the notes and appear to have been omitted inadvertently. So you have got some bold characters here, which is effects. If you will look back at the description of the effects, which is in bold, of revelation, you will see that there are some similarities in the experiential result, but hardly in the content. This and preceding paragraph go later. It says then here in brackets. Then it goes on. 24H. Revelations induce complete but temporary suspension. I can see here that on this is Miracle 28 and this is 28B. So we have got quite a bit of stuff which is not included. Everything here about it's actually quite interesting. It's not here. So 24H goes like this. Revelations induce complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. That's that one. That's why I love revelations. I'm in connection. They represent the original form of communication between God and his souls before the intrusion of fire and ice made this impossible. Fire and ice. Fire and ice. Yin and yang. And when I'm doing Qigong, I feel like I'm in a state of revelation. I'm in a state of connection. That's what it does for me. Revelations induce complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. They represent the original form of communication between God and his souls before the intrusion of fire and ice made this impossible. It should be noted that they involve an extremely personal sense of closeness to creation, which us people try to find in sexual relationships. This confusion is responsible for the depression and fear which are often associated with sex. Absolutely amazing. And then it goes on to say, 24I, sex is often associated with lack of love, but revelation is purely a love experience. Physical closeness cannot achieve this. As was said before, the subconscious impulses properly induce miracles, which are interpersonal and result in closeness to others. This can be misunderstood by a personally willful consciousness as an impulse towards sexual gratification. This is truly amazing. I just have to have a look here what it says here in this is 28B and D. I've got a 28. Let's have a look what the Sparkly Edition says on Miracle 28. Okay, let me just have a look. So this is all 28. I'm still on 28. So let me read. Nice, it's very interesting. So I'm just going to read Miracle 28, and I think we're going to conclude this here. And then we're going to continue and just focus. I think I'm going to change the way we're doing this. I think I'm going to focus on each one of the miracles and then compare that to what it says in the Urtext. I think I'm going to do that next time. So here is the miracle idea 28, which is different to what the foundation for inner peace is saying. It's a different. I can see here this is Sparkly 28 and the fifth version 28. So it's basically this entire thing which is in the Sparkly is omitted out of the miracle in the foundation for inner peace. For the foundation for inner peace, I have got here, miracles are very earning. Miracles are a way of earning release from fear. This is what the foundation for inner peace is saying about miracles. And here I have got 28. I'm going to read this now in the Sparkly edition, what it says here. Miracles are a means of organizing different levels of consciousness. Miracles come from the below or subconscious level. Revelations come from the above or superconscious level. The conscious level is in between and reacts to either sub or superconscious impulses in varying ratios. Consciousness is the level which engages in the world and is capable of responding to both, having no impulses from itself and being primarily a mechanism for inducing response. It can be very wrong. Now, this particular part of the miracles is actually in a different section altogether in the foundation for inner peace, I remember. It's a complete different place. I think it's further on after the miracles. It goes on to say, revelation induces complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. It represents the original form of communication between God and his souls, involving an extremely personal sense of closeness to creation, which man tries to find in physical relationships. Now, in here, it says physical relationships, but in the original manuscript, it says sexual relationships. And for me, a physical relationship is different than sexual relationships, which man tries to find in physical relationship. Physical closeness cannot achieve this. The subconscious impulses properly induce miracles, which are genuinely interpersonal and result in real closeness to others. This can be misunderstood. Physical closeness induce miracles which are genuinely interpersonal and result in real closeness to others. This can be misunderstood by a personally willful consciousness as impulses towards physical gratification. Revelation unites souls directly with God. Miracles unites minds directly with each other. And this is the difference between revelation and miracles. Revelations unites souls directly with its creator, with God, whereby miracles unite minds directly with each other, because miracles are expressions of love. Neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced in consciousness. Are experienced there. This is essential, since consciousness is the state which induces action, though it does not inspire action. Man is free to believe what he chooses, and what he does attests to what he believes. The deeper levels of the subconscious always contain the impulse to miracles, but man is free to fill its more superficial levels, which are closer to consciousness, with the impulses of this world, and to identify himself with them. This results in denying himself. In denying himself access to the miracle level underneath. The miracle level underneath the consciousness, the heart, emotions, and the wisdom of the lower Dantian. This results in denying himself access to the miracle level underneath the fear, the belt of fear. In this action, in his actions, then his relationships also become superficial, and miracle-inspired relating becomes impossible. So let me see what it says here about this. Yeah, this is exactly what it says here. So I stopped reading here. Revelations induce complete but temporary suspension of doubt and fear. They represent the original form of communication between God and his souls, before the intrusion of fire and ice made this impossible. And I've put a question mark here. What does that mean? Fire and ice, yin and yang. It should be noted that they involve an extremely personal sense of closeness to creation, which man tries to find in sexual relationships. This confusion is responsible for the depression and fear which are often associated with sex. And this is what, I mean, rape and all this crazy stuff, or sex without soul. This is all a result of this, where we are disconnecting the human closeness from the actual spiritual. Let's read this again. Which man tries to find in sexual relationship. This confusion is responsible for the depression and fear which are often associated with sex. And I would add here with empty sex. Sex is often associated with lack of love, but revelation is purely a love experience. Physical closeness cannot achieve this. As was said before, the subconscious impulses properly induce miracles which are interpersonal, which are between people, and result in closeness to others. This is what miracles do. This can be misunderstood by a personally willful consciousness as an impulse towards sexual gratification. The revelation, on the other hand, unites souls directly with God. And the miracle unites souls directly with each other. Neither emanates from consciousness. Neither miracles nor revelations emanate from the conscious. When it comes from above, we call it revelation. When it comes from below, we call it miracles. Miracles unite souls directly with each other. Neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced there. This is essential because consciousness is the state which produces action, though it does not inspire it. So we need the consciousness to initiate action. This comes from our intention. In Qigong, intention is super important because intention is the one which creates the action. But we want this intention to be either miracle guided or revelation guided. But if we are disconnected from both, how can we know what to do? And we're just like headless chickens. So the revelation unites souls directly to God. This is the upper connection to outside of our energy field. The miracle unites souls directly with each other. This is the energy field. When we're uniting, we are expanding our energy field, and we are talking with each other. We are communicating on more levels than just the physical vibrations. We are actually interchanging our energy field. The miracle unites souls directly with each other. Neither emanates from consciousness, but both are experienced in consciousness, in this awareness of self. This is essential because consciousness is the state which produces action, though it does not inspire it. We are producing action. We are creating things in this world, and if we are disconnected from both revelations and miracles, our actions are soulless. They are not inspired by love. Man is free to believe what he chooses. What he does attest to what he believes. What he does attest to what he believes. The deeper levels of his subconscious always contain the impulse to miracles, but he is free to feel its superficial levels, which are closer to consciousness, with the impulses of this world and to identify himself with it or with them. This results in denying himself access to the miracle level underneath. Let me just repeat this. The deeper level of his subconscious, the deeper level is the heart and the lower dantian. The deeper level of his subconscious always contain the impulse of miracle. That's why we've been saying all last year, we gotta think past the belt of fear. Every negative emotion is rooted in fear. This is what we're learning as Course in Miracles. And in Qigong, really, it is also explained like that, but it's not necessarily that each Qigong teacher understands it that way, but this is because they haven't been going through a Course in Miracles. But really, each negative emotion, whether this is anger or sadness or worry or whatever that is, which we are associating to the different elements, is rooted in fear. That is why the water is the most yin. And this is where the wisdom lies. And we have got to get past that belt of fear. All those negative emotions sink into the wisdom, sink into this awareness of who we truly are, namely love. So the deeper levels of his subconscious always contain the impulse to miracles, the expression of love. But he is free to fill its superficial levels, which are closer to consciousness, with the impulses of this world and to identify himself with it. This is so interesting. So these spaces which we have between our consciousness and our miracle level, these spaces we can choose to identify and fill with whatever we want. This is what we are free to do as humans. So we can fill them with impatience from the fire, according to Chinese medicine, or with worry from the earth. This would be in the stomach, nervousness, stomach, pancreas, spleen area, or with anger in the liver kind of area, anger, impatience, not willing to forgive, or sadness, grief in the lung area, according to the Chinese medicine. So the deeper level of his subconscious always contained the impulse of the miracles. This is the deeper level. But he is free to feel its superficial levels, which are closer to consciousness. The superficial levels is in the heart, the liver, the spleen, and all this, the lungs, they are closer to the conscious level, which is the brain. But he's free to fill its superficial levels, which are closer to consciousness, with the impulses of this world and to identify himself with those impulses. This results in denying himself access to the miracle level underneath. The miracle level, the wisdom which is deep below. That's why we've got to sink below that belt of fear. This results in denying himself access to the miracle level underneath. In conscious actions, then, his interpersonal relationships also become superficial, and miracle-inspired relating becomes impossible. This is Miracle 28 in the Sparkly Edition, and the Miracle 28 in the Foundation for Inner Peace says, miracles are a way of earning release from fear. And this is actually starting the principle 25 in the next one. So it is very, very interesting. Like I said, a lot of this stuff which I have just read to you has been either remitted or it has been moved forward in the text, in the Foundation for Inner Peace. Some of it, I remember it being there somewhere, but I don't know where exactly. This is something you can find out. But this particular section, I find is very, very interesting, and this is very much necessary for us to understand and grasp the superconscious, the conscious and the subconscious level, and that the conscious level is between the superconscious and the subconscious. And the Qigong has created a map for us. It doesn't mean that this is how it really is. It is just a map which is necessary for our conscious mind to understand how this could be laid out, how this could be understood, because our mind is this way, it's that methodical. And that's why Qigong can help us so much, and it's an ancient form of wisdom which has been transmitted through thousands of years and has survived the test of time, the same as Christianity has survived the test of time. And it's necessary now to put it all together. It's necessary to clarify it and make us take the gold pieces out of this mess which we have created and put this puzzle back together so we understand what this life is all about. I hope this makes sense to you. Please let me know what you think. I am trying to read everything you write, and really it helps me to know that you eventually will come and watch this together with me. And I'm confident that it will help you as well, maybe on your path. But it definitely helps me because it clarifies, and then I realize certain things which maybe I have forgotten and which I need to pack back into my teachings, into my daily teachings of Qigong. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know where you're watching from, how long you've been with the Course in Miracles, and what you think about the Qigong, and if you're doing the lessons with me. Love, light and chi to you. By the way, my name is Judith, and my Qigong is called Lucid Mind Qigong, and I've also got an English channel where you can come and do more classes. Love, light and chi to you. Sleep well.